You drove past the gym again. You didn't say it out loud. You didn't even fully think it, but somewhere in the half second you had it in your peripheral vision. You felt it, that particular mix of guilt and resignation that you've gotten so good at moving past quickly. You kept driving. You told yourself tomorrow. You've been telling yourself tomorrow since February. It's not February anymore. Here's what that membership actually costs you. And I don't mean the $47 a month, though we'll get to that. Think about how it started January, probably. Or after a bad doctor's appointment, or maybe someone said something in passing that stuck. You were going to be different this time. You picked the gym with the nice equipment and the parking that wasn't impossible and the hours that would work if you left the office at a reasonable time. You signed the form. You felt genuinely good about it. That feeling, that specific optimism of a decision you haven't had a chance to fail yet, it felt like progress. And for a few weeks it was. You were sore. You started looking forward to it. And then a thing happened. It doesn't matter which thing, the project, the trip. The week where everything ran long, and missing once became missing twice, and missing twice became 2 months of looking away as you drove by. And now the membership is a direct debit you see on the statement and minimize the window of your banking app quickly. Like if you don't look at it fully, it doesn't quite count. You're paying for the person you intended to become. Every month without receiving any of the product. Here is what's actually happening in your bank account in just that one line item. $47 a month, maybe $60, maybe $80 if you signed up at the nice one with the towel service. That's not nothing. That's $564 a year for the base number. That's over $1,000 if you've had it for 2 years. And there's a real chance you've had it longer than 2 years because the hardest part isn't signing up. The hardest part is the cancellation, which is, of course, not an accident. They don't make it easy to cancel. That is a business decision. The gym model, the traditional gym model, depends on members who don't come. The math only works if a significant percentage of paying members are paying for access they never use. If everyone who had a membership actually showed up every day, the facility would be physically unable to accommodate them. The model isn't fitness, the model is intention monetized. You paid for the intention, you're still paying for the intention. And the intention, at this point, is mostly guilt with a billing cycle attached. But here's what makes this more than a gym story. That membership, that one line in your statement that you've trained yourself not to really see, it's a symptom. It's a small, clean, recurring example of the larger pattern that is quietly making your financial life harder than it has to be. Think about what else lives in that statement. The streaming service from the free trial you forgot to cancel 18 months ago. The subscription box that was going to make you more organized, or more stylish, or more something that now delivers something you put in a corner. The software renewal you approved automatically because the email said your plan will renew and you meant to look into it and didn't. The premium tier of the app you used heavily for 2 weeks and then forgot existed. Add those up. Actually add them up, not in your head. Open the statement. Find every recurring charge, write them down. Most people, when they do this exercise for the first time, find between $200 and $400 a month in subscriptions and memberships they had stopped consciously choosing. Money leaving automatically, money that was authorized once, sometimes years ago, that has been leaving every single month while you weren't watching. That's not carelessness, that's the architecture working exactly as designed. Because the subscription economy was not built for your convenience, it was built for your inertia. The free trial exists to get you past the decision point when you have the most resistance. The auto-renewal exists because the data shows that a meaningful percentage of people will not cancel even when they stop using the product, as long as cancellation requires any effort at all. The cancellation process, the "are you sure?" screen, the "here's a deal to stay," the "would you like to pause instead," the phone number that has a 40-minute hold time, none of that is accidental friction. That is engineered friction, designed by people who know precisely how much friction it takes to make the average person give up and keep paying. You are not bad with money. You are a human being navigating a system that was optimized in significant detail to extract recurring revenue from human beings. That is not the same thing, but here is the cost of treating it as the same thing. Nothing changes. If the story is "I'm just not good with money," there's no clear action. There's just shame without direction. And shame without direction is very good for businesses that profit from your inertia. Nobody taught you to audit your subscriptions the way they taught you to audit your nutrition. Nobody built that habit into anything institutional. You were just supposed to notice on your own. While also working and commuting and raising children and maintaining relationships and sleeping occasionally. You were too busy surviving to see the pattern. And the pattern kept billing you while you weren't looking. This is where it gets interesting, and it connects to something much bigger than a gym membership. Most people manage their finances reactively. They look at the account when they're worried, pay attention when things are tight, and return to comfortable inattention when there's a buffer. This is not moral failure. This is how the brain conserves energy. You cannot run high-vigilance attention on every system of your life simultaneously. Something gets put on autopilot. What the subscription economy understood, before most people consciously understood it, is that money on autopilot flows out. That is the direction of least resistance. Left without deliberate management, money exits toward recurring obligations, toward convenience fees, toward the path that was paved the last time you made a decision, even if that decision is now years old and no longer reflects what you actually want. The gym membership you don't use isn't a gym problem. It is a decision that was made once in a moment of genuine motivation that has been running on autopilot ever since. The motivation expired. The decision did not. And this is the part most people miss. The decision keeps costing you not just money, but the money that money could have been. $50 a month for 3 years is $1,800. $1,800 invested at a modest return for 20 years becomes something meaningfully different. You are not just paying for the gym, you are paying with the future version of that money. Every month that the decision runs on autopilot is a month the compounding runs in the wrong direction. But here's what nobody tells you about the real cost of small recurring expenses. It's not the dollar amount, it's the signal. Every subscription you pay for without using is a small, quiet vote for the current version of your life over the intended version. You signed up for the gym because some part of you wanted to become someone who exercises. You are now financially maintaining the fiction of that intention while behaviorally living as the person who doesn't follow through. Those two things are in conflict, and that conflict, the gap between who you're paying to become and who you're actually being, has a weight to it that's hard to name, but impossible not to feel. It's why you minimize the window quickly. It's why the guilt flashes and passes. It's not about the $47. It's about what the $47 represents, a version of yourself you keep funding but keep postponing. Let me tell you about a woman named Claire. Claire was 36, earned $90,000 a year, lived alone in a one-bedroom apartment, and described herself, accurately, as someone who was always broke by the 20th of the month. She genuinely could not understand where the money went. She wasn't eating at expensive restaurants, she wasn't buying designer clothes. She was just broke every month on schedule. When a friend helped her actually map her recurring charges, everything, monthly and annual, prorated to monthly, they found $412 in subscriptions. The gym she'd had since 2019, 3 streaming services, one of which she shared a login from elsewhere and didn't technically need, an app for meditation she opened twice, a professional development platform she'd used intensively for 1 month 18 months ago, a cloud storage tier she'd upgraded during a project and never downgraded, a meal planning service she'd forgotten existed until the charge appeared, $412 every month, for things she was, on some level, funding the identity of without receiving the benefit of. In the 12 months after that conversation, Claire cut those charges to $60. She kept to streaming services and a productivity app she actually used. The remaining $352 a month went into an index fund. Claire did not get a raise. Claire did not change jobs. Claire did not start a side business. Claire just stopped funding versions of herself she wasn't living. There is a principle underneath this that changes how you see every recurring expense. Every automatic payment is a decision that past you made for present you. And past you did not know what present you's life would actually look like. Past you was motivated in a specific way, had specific intentions, was in a specific moment. Present you inherited those decisions without being asked to confirm them. The question is not whether those decisions were good when they were made. They might have been excellent. The question is whether present you, given a blank page and today's reality, would make the same choices. If the answer is yes, keep it. Consciously, deliberately, as a choice you're making now, not a legacy you inherited from a version of yourself. If the answer is no, or I'm not sure, or I haven't thought about it in months, that is the money that's leaking, quietly, every month, without asking permission. The identity shift this requires is not complicated, but it is ongoing. It is the shift from someone whose financial life runs on what they set up in better moments to someone who reviews their financial life the way they review anything they care about maintaining. With some regularity, with honest eyes, without the reflex to minimize the window. The second principle is one that almost nobody applies: cancel before you restart. The reason gym memberships accumulate, the reason people sometimes have a membership they don't use and also a workout app they're paying for, and also a fitness subscription they forgot about, is that adding feels like progress. Adding feels like commitment, adding feels like this time. Canceling feels like giving up. But cancellation is not defeat. Cancellation of something you're not using is recovery of a resource you were losing. It is not a statement about who you are, it is a statement about what the evidence shows. And the evidence, looked at honestly, is almost always clearer than we're comfortable admitting. The people who actually get fit, and I mean actually, sustainably over years, almost never do it by accumulating memberships. They find one thing that works for their actual life as it is, not as they intend it to be, and they do that thing. The people who accumulate memberships are often the people who are, in a specific and identifiable way, confusing the acquisition of the tool with the use of the tool. This is not a fitness failure. This is a cognitive pattern. And the same cognitive pattern shows up in personal finance constantly. The budgeting app you downloaded instead of budgeting, the book about investing you bought instead of investing, the financial planner consultation you scheduled and didn't follow up on. Acquiring the means of change is not change. It costs money and feels like change. It is not. And here's the uncomfortable version of this that most people aren't willing to say out loud. The subscriptions you keep paying for but never use are a financial self-portrait. Not of who you are, but of who you're pretending to be to yourself. The gym membership is not hurting your body. It's hurting your relationship with honesty about your own life. Because every month it runs, you tacitly agree that this is still fine, that you'll get to it, that the gap between intention and action is temporary. Some of those gaps have been running for years. Every person who has actually cleaned up their financial life at some point had a reckoning with the gap between the money going out and the value coming in. Not a dramatic, all-at-once reckoning, a quiet, specific, line-by-line one, where they looked at each charge and asked, is this my life, or is this the life I was planning to get around to? That question is uncomfortable. It has a clear answer. And the clear answer, applied to your statement, will probably free up more money per month than you think. 5 years from now, you'll still have a gym membership. The question is whether you'll be using it, or whether you'll have stopped one that wasn't working and started one that does, or whether you'll still be minimizing the window on a 20th of every month, vaguely aware that somewhere in the statement is money you authorized once, years ago, that has been quietly leaving while you were busy with everything else. That's not a judgment, that's a projection. Based on what has happened so far, the continuation of the current path looks like this. The charges keep running. The gap between intention and action becomes a permanent feature of your financial life rather than a temporary one. And the money that could have compounded over a decade quietly exits instead, month after month, toward products and platforms you stopped choosing long before you stopped paying. The other path is genuinely uncertain, not harder necessarily, but uncertain in the way that honesty is uncertain. You don't know exactly what you'll find when you look, and you don't know which version of yourself will emerge from the looking. You just know that continuing to not look has a cost, a measurable one per month, multiplied by however many years you keep not looking. That's just math. So here is where I leave you. You can close this the way you close the banking app, quickly, with the intention to deal with it later. That's a legitimate choice. Millions of people make it. The gym is still open. The billing cycle doesn't care. Or you can open the statement tonight, not to feel bad about what you find, to actually see what past you has been deciding for present you. And then, for each line, ask the honest question, is this my life, or is this the version of my life I keep saying I'll get to? One of those questions will change what you do next. The other one will make sure the membership keeps reviewing your move.